When I was around 13 or 14, my brother and I were both outside doing our own separate things like we often did. It was one of those quiet days where nothing felt unusual at all. He was out front in the driveway shooting hoops by himself, the steady thump of the basketball echoing off the pavement. I was behind the house, running back and forth along a trail that cut through the forest. I had music blasting in my ears through these huge, obnoxiously bright red skull candy headphones. So bright they stood out even in winter when the trees were bare and everything else was grey and brown. The trail I was running on was familiar, almost comforting. My family owns hundreds of acres of forest that stretch back for over a mile, land we'd grown up roaming. The main path was an old logging road that went part of the way back before it narrowed and became overgrown. When we were kids, the point where the trail stopped being maintained was sort of an unspoken boundary our parents set, far enough that we felt independent, but not so far that we could get seriously lost. I ran up and down that path over and over, turning around at the same spot each time. Eventually, I got bored. The cold was starting to creep in and I just wasn't feeling it anymore. So I went inside, dropped my shoes by the door and went up to my room. I probably spent the next hour doing something completely forgettable, scrolling, listening to different music, maybe lying on my bed. Nothing memorable, nothing strange. Then, out of nowhere, my bedroom door flew open. My brother burst in, absolutely hysterical. He was sobbing, shaking, red-faced and screaming at me. "What the fuck is wrong with you? You scared me to death!" I remember just staring at him, completely confused, and snapping back something like, "What the hell is your problem?" Because from my perspective, this reaction came out of nowhere. Once he calmed down enough to talk, he told me what had happened. He hadn't seen me go inside. Either he missed it completely or assumed I'd gone in briefly and then gone back out. While he was playing basketball, he kept seeing me, or what he thought was me, running down the trail behind the house. He could see flashes of red through the trees, my headphones unmistakable against the winter landscape. Then, suddenly, I didn't come back. At first, he wasn't panicked. He figured maybe I'd slowed down or stopped for a second. But as more time passed, he started to feel uneasy. It was winter, the ground was icy in places, and I had a reputation for being accident-prone. He worried I might have tripped, fallen, or twisted an ankle somewhere out of sight. So he walked down the trail to check on me. As he went farther, he could still see that same flash of red ahead of him, moving through the trees. Not clearly my body, just the colour, slipping in and out of view between branches. He followed it, calling my name. No answer. When he reached the point where the trail became overgrown, the red disappeared. That was the boundary he never liked crossing alone. Even growing up surrounded by forest, that spot felt different, thicker, darker, quieter. He stood there waiting, expecting me to turn around and jog back like I always did. I never did. He waited for about 20 minutes. During that time, he said the feeling got worse and worse, an intense, gut-level dread that something was wrong. Finally, he turned around and went back to the house, heart pounding, convinced either that I was hurt or that I was deliberately messing with him. When he got inside, my mum casually told him I'd been in the house for a while. That's when he completely lost it. He thought I'd played some kind of cruel prank on him, running down the trail, doubling back through the woods and sneaking inside without him noticing. That was the only explanation that made sense to him in the moment. Except I hadn't done any of that. Over the years, I've asked him about this story multiple times, half expecting the details to change, or for him to admit he exaggerated it. He never has. He tells it the same way every single time, and I know he wasn't faking his reaction. My brother doesn't fake cry. When he burst into my room that day, his face was blotchy and red, tears streaking down his cheeks, his whole body shaking from fear and adrenaline. Whatever he experienced genuinely terrified him. The only logical explanation would be a trespasser, maybe someone hunting out of season. That did happen occasionally, but never that close to the house. Anyone coming from the power lines, which bordered one side of our property, would have parked far away and known to turn back long before reaching the maintained part of the trail. Even if someone were lost, The power lines were visible through the trees. The open sky and brighter light made them an obvious landmark. I used them myself to get my bearings when I explored too far. And still, nothing about it fits. I was small then, barely 5 feet tall, and even shorter at that age. The height where my red headphones would have been visible is very specific. A grown adult hunter wouldn't have had the same silhouette, and my brother knew exactly what I looked like from a distance. He wasn't just mistaking any flash of red for me. To this day, the thing that unsettles me most is what he said afterward. That it felt like whatever he was following wanted him to keep going. Like it was deliberately staying just far enough ahead to draw him deeper into the woods. That part still gives me chills.